curious. I have when I put a topic out there, I have an idea about what it is I'm going to talk about, what I think I want to say. But I'm interested in, when you guys saw the topic or when you saw this, what do you want to get from this? Why did you sign up for something that says how to structure your webinar? And what are you hoping to get from that? So Graham was telling us a bit about his business. Wendy, I'd love to know from you, like what is the secret sauce? What is the thing you're hoping to get from today?
Well, my current business is a coaching business, and it did not come into being without the pandemic. It was being shoved into the digital world that made who I am possible, which means I have no desire to go back to geographic boundaries. I like being able to coach and help and interact with people anywhere the digital world will take me. So the best way to do that, or to share what value I have, highlight the values of others I'm connected to, is through webinars. And while I've done a few, they're really just me doing presentations interactively with people. So I wanted to learn how to better structure them, how to better leverage them, and how to bring value that attracts people.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Well, hopefully I'm going to be able to share. So what I am definitely going to share with you today is just my journey with webinars and events and things like that, and give you a structure. So out of all the structures that, if you go and Google, how to structure a webinar or anything around that, you'll come across a guy called Russell Brunson, creator of ClickFunnels, and his perfect webinar formula is, to my mind, the gold standard of how to do that. It is fairly, I highly recommend the book, Expert Secrets. In fact, all of his books, Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, and Traffic Secrets, all extremely good. So, I'll tell you a bit about my story to give you a bit of context for that. But what I'm going to do is do it a little bit like a bit of a meta presentation. So I'm going to use the perfect webinar structure to deliver a webinar about perfect webinar structure, right? And excuse me, hopefully this coffee kicks in, and we should be able to do this. So you're going to have like multiple layers of presentation and content here. So does that sound good? Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
So this is going to be the how to structure your webinar. Right. So how to structure, welcome to the how to structure your webinar. So this is the structure of the webinar, and what I'm now so we're going to use the structure to actually deliver the presentation. So this is the overview. So you start off with a bold promise, and this is again Russell Brunson's process. The input assumption here is that you're selling something. Okay, so if you're doing an academic presentation or something like that, or you're presenting performance data to a board or something like that, internal communications, this is not that world. The input premise here is that you are an expert business and you want to use webinars as a mechanism for getting leads, for opening conversations with stakeholders, selling products, that sort of stuff. So that's the assumption that the structure is about. So if you guys are all good with that, everyone here trying to sell, wanting to sell stuff, you've got a business. Okay, fantastic. We're in the right place. The second thing is a hook to the end. So if you stay to the end, what I'm going to do is give you an amazing offer and some really great content and an amazing opportunity to be able to build webinars at will with no ad spend on the most valuable platform on earth. Does that sound like a good deal? Amazing. So that's an example of a hook. So you've got an idea about hooking to the end. Commanding attention, qualifying yourself, and future pacing. So this is just sort of the introduction. Then what we're leading to, this is the kind of the main piece where you're delivering the content. And one of the things around his specific structure is that it's not just about sharing value, because I think it's a common thing. I certainly had this when I started doing webinars, is that you would share a bunch of content and it would be like, that's great. And then no one would do anything. They'd be like, oh, that's cool. And the thing is, it still works. If honestly, if all you do is show up for people, certain amount of people are going to like you and be like, hey, that Wendy, she's amazing. Or Graham, she's amazing. I know what you do. Tell me more about what you do. I'd like to work with you. That's going to happen. Everything else I'm telling you is just about increasing the conversion ratio, increasing the ratio of people talking to you versus people actually wanting to do business with you. So we'll dig a little bit more deeper into this thing. It's not really so much about sharing value, but about rebuilding beliefs and patterns. Okay. Slightly different emphasis, and we'll build on that a little bit more. And then Russell goes quite into the close. All right. So you'll talk about the opportunity, you'll talk about 3 pieces of content, 3 pieces of insight, and then from there go into quite a direct close and offer. I'll go through some of those closing techniques at the end. And you can plus or minus this depending on how salesy you want to get. So I'll give you a couple of different options at the end so that you can see, like, this is the American style, buy now, act now kind of thing. And we'll also dial it back down to the more British sort of, one of the guys that I've worked with goes complete opposite direction and says, there is nothing to buy here. If you're interested in working with me, come and talk to me afterwards. But there is nothing to buy here. Okay, so those are the 2 ends of the scale, and I'll give you a couple of examples of a few different closes that you can do over there. And then you talk about the offer. So what is the specific thing? Now, again, depending on where you are in your journey, your offer is going to be in a different stages of maturity. If you're just getting started out in your journey, or you're primarily doing a one-to-one high value service, your offer is going to look one way. If you're selling something that is, a book or something like that is a lower value ticket, it's going to look a little bit different. Where, if you're selling a book, it's very easy to say, go and buy my book over here. If you're doing some multi-stage business to business consultative process, your offer might very well be something that looks a little bit more like a book a strategy call. Okay, so those are the different. That's the different structure. Those are the kind of high level structure. So if it's okay with you, what I'm going to do is go through in a little bit more detail through those different elements, and I'll give you a couple of examples, kind of along the way of how we can expand on that. Sound good? Okay, fantastic. Hey, Joan, how are you? Welcome. And I see there's Hazan as well. Excellent. So I'll take a step back and just go think about the context of your when you're doing a webinar specifically for an expert business. Your whole business is about taking a group of people from where they are to where they want to be. So the background kind of work to doing this, to be able to make the bold promise, is to take a step back and think about who are the people that you want to work, and where is it you want to take them? What is the transformation that you're gonna take them on? Right. So for myself, when I first started doing this, I've been doing digital marketing for about 20 years. I didn't take my own advice for the first 18 years, and I didn't pick a niche, right? So I was a curious person, and I took, I've done Google ads, Facebook ads, website design, SEO, kind of all kinds of different types of things. But when the pandemic hit, and so there was a global lockdown, all the clients I was working with at the time stopped marketing. They stopped dead. They were like, right, I'm not going to start, I'm going to, we can't afford to do Google ads. We can't even trade at the moment. So I had the interesting opportunity of being able to rebuild my client list from zero. So what I went to, and I thought, you know what, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, John, listen, everyone's in the same boat, right? And you're either a marketer or you're not a marketer. If you can't rebuild your client list sitting, you know, in front of broadband internet and all you've got is the internet, you have no business pretending you can do this for other people. Okay. So if you're going to get more clients, you need to be able to get more clients. If you're going to help other people get more clients in a lockdown, you need to be able to do this for yourself. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start with webinars. Like, I love talking, I love sharing information. That's what really lights me up. In fact, even if I had to win the lottery and not work anymore, I'd probably still do this kind of thing because it just I get really excited about you know, unleashing the untapped potential inside other humans. So that was 2 years ago, sort of March, first lockdown. How long have we been? It feels like we were in like Groundhog Day, but it was about 2 years ago, wasn't it? It was March 2020. Yeah, March 2020. You know, locked inside. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to do webinars. And LinkedIn had just released this LinkedIn event feature. All right, so I'd read all the Russell Brunson stuff, but most of the webinar funnels and things like that have a lot of different moving parts. You have to build a website, you have to get ads, you have to do landing pages, you have to master a lot of different moving parts. But LinkedIn had just started this event functionality, and I was like, you could create an event and you just press invite, and you can invite your connections. And if they say yes, then they just show up. And I thought, this is sorcery, right? This is great. I'm going to start. And I started doing, I thought, I'm going to take the Russell Brunson webinar formula, but I'm just going to do it on LinkedIn events, right? And I started with this process, and I thought, okay, cool. Every week I'm going to do, my commitment was I'm going to do an event once a week until I have no more, you know, until I've rebuilt my client book. And I have, and I thought, these are the people I want to work with. I had an offer at the time, 1-person marketing departments that I was working with, and I thought, that's it. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do an event a week. And the first week, did an event. Some people showed up, nobody bought anything. Second week, I did an event again. Nobody showed, a few people showed up, nobody bought anything. Did an event again. Bunch of other people RSVP'd, nobody showed up. The fourth time, bunch of people showed up, did the event again, and the seventh repetition, the seventh time I did an event, 4 clients in 1 week. Okay. And suddenly my business was back to break even. And here's the crazy thing. This is the thing that absolutely blows my mind. And I really want you guys to get from this thing is that of the 4 clients, only one of them had ever showed up at an event. All the rest of them had just been seeing what I've been up to. They've been seeing me show up every week, do an event, invite people, deliver some value, do a post afterwards. And, you know, what was going on my organic thing was saying, hey, I'm doing an event about this. Come if you want to. Afterwards, I do a post to say, I've just done this event. Here's the next one. And just by showing up, right? So this event, if I look at the stats, about 2,500 people got invited. 33 people showed up, right? The posts leading up to this event have got impressions over 5,000 before I've even done the event. Right, so there's about 5,500 people that know that this is happening. They know that I'm doing stuff around webinars. Okay, so this is it's absolutely nuts. So that's 7 repetitions, and the 7th one, suddenly a whole bunch of people wanted to work with me, and I thought that's great. Rebuilt the business, and I got going. But since then, I've been honing the process, like simplifying it, understanding the tech stack. And so the kind of the bold promise at the end of this is I'll show you how to structure a webinar. But if you want to, I can show you how to run a webinar funnel with no ads. So you can implement the whole process with no ads. And my business last year did £100,000 for the first time ever. And I've been able to do that literally without spending any money on ads. And I mean, I have a website, but I didn't even need a website in order to do that. The people that I work with now, none of them have even looked at my website. So there's an example of a bold promise. If you stick around to the end, I'll show you how I did it. Sound good? So that's an example of a bold promise. Okay. So that's the bold promise. So there we go. That's an example of the bold, and of course a hook to the end to say if you stick around, this is what's going to happen at the end. And that's just an example, but that's understanding. So I've done a couple of techniques there. The one is I told a personal story. Stories work way better than sharing information. The other thing is that I think that story probably would relate to people who are your target market. Like one of the easiest ways to understand your target market is the previous version of you. The people that are you, just a little bit further back. And then you can speak to the same and say, I was there, and this is the journey that I went on. Okay. So this stuff is quite natural. If you understand your customer's journey relative to your own story, you can start fleshing these things out. Okay. Commanding attention. As you can see, you guys, well, I mean, you guys are all pretty engaged, so I don't need to do anything, but there's a couple of things that you can do to command attention. You can, you know, the bold promise, the credibility, all those things are good. There's also great things that you can do during the event. One of the people I've worked with, her name's Melissa Dinworthy. She's done amazing sort of engagement events at Facebook. So she had to teach Facebook how to have live Zoom meetings. So she's got, you know, she will literally, you know, straight to the camera and say, listen, either, you know, put your camera on or leave. Right. But then, you know, she'll play games with people. She'll get people to stand up. You know, one of the interesting things that she'll do, you know, kind of just get people started. Instead of going like, hey, what do you do? She'll use whatever it takes to get people actually active, engaged. Right. So she'll do animal, you know, like animal noises. She'll get people to do a dance, whatever it takes. Now, you guys are already pretty engaged, so I don't need to do, you know, we don't need to do any animal noises or anything like that. So we're good. But pattern interrupts, just get people to you know, just break the mold a little bit. So it's not just one person giving information. We actually, you know, there's a bit of dialogue. Qualify yourself. Now, I've kind of subtly done some of the stuff already. In some of my stories, I've mentioned that. So at this point, what you're wanting to do is just establish yourself as the reason why you're able to share this information. So as you can see, I've done, I hope I've done some of the stuff already. I can't help myself. When I spoke about how webinars have changed my life. Okay, so what I did, part of that story was established, this is why I'm able to share this information with you, is after 20 years of spending, of doing all kinds of digital marketing stuff, Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, I've spent millions of pounds and dollars of other people's money generating leads online. But when I needed to do this for myself, this is the exact mechanism that I reached out for. You know, for the first 15 years of my life, I thought success was about more marketing. But what I'm now fascinated with is less marketing, right? Especially for a one-person business. It's not about doing more stuff, right? It's about how do you compress that? How do you get the maximum amount of value? And for expert businesses, which is the people that I want to serve, LinkedIn and webinars is an absolutely devastating combination. It is absolutely killer because, you know, I mean, posting on LinkedIn, I can do it. I'm good at it. I just don't like it. You know, but you put me in front of a stage in front of people like this, I light up like a Christmas tree. This is a natural language for me. This is just fun for me. Hey, I get to talk to some people. And if you're like that, I invite you to think, to consider that webinars are a great way, you know, to market yourself. And out off the back of that, we could take the recordings. I put those on YouTube. I send the recordings to everyone else who couldn't be here, and able to take those and put them onto podcasts and things like that. And it's an hour of my time that, you know, we're able to get quite a lot of value from. You know, you could chop that up and turn it into other posts and things. So I'd invite you to consider, as me future facing, 12 months from now, if you had to do a webinar once every 2 weeks, just invite the people in your network, have a chat with them about some aspect about the product of the thing that you're doing. What would that look like? What would your life look like 12 months from now if you build this into your marketing system? All right. If every 2 weeks or once a month or whatever cadence is comfortable for you, once a month, you're putting an event out there, you're inviting some people, you're posting about the event leading up to it, you're adding some value, you're offering people the opportunity to get to where they want to go faster, and you're working with people that only you want to work with. And because they've already spent the time with you, they're already a lot more qualified. They've already felt a little bit of what that's like. Okay. So that's what's called future pacing. You're imagining a time in the future where this has all happened. And 12 months from now, one of the my clients that I've been working with, his name is John Hitler. He's a CEO coach. He works with some of the CEO of Meetup was one of the people that he's actually just interviewed for his book, and we're helping him start a podcast. So we kind of worked with him over the last 2 years to build out fairly sophisticated marketing system. But what the question he asks his coaching clients, and I absolutely love this, is he says, let's imagine we're 12 months from now. We're at the French Laundry. Okay. For you guys who are in the States, apparently French Laundry is a pretty fancy restaurant, right? Right. We're at the French Laundry. They have like $3,000 bottles of wine, and it's like a massively long waiting list. But imagine that you're at the French Laundry. So Graham, you can change that to whichever restaurant. What's the equivalent of the French Laundry? What's the best restaurant in Scotland?
Le Manoir in Great Milton, Raymond Blanc's restaurant. I enjoy eating there.
All right. Le Manoir.
That's Le Manoir aux Quatre Saisons.
Okay, I'm really glad I'm recording this. All right, so Le Manoir.
Le Manoir aux Quatre Saisons in Great Milton, Oxfordshire, the best restaurant in the UK. I think it's only got 2 Michelin stars, though.
Fantastic. So it's underrated as well. So you heard it here, folks.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's it. So we're at Le Manoir. We're it's 12 months from now. We've worked together. We've expanded your reach. It's working out brilliantly. What are we celebrating? Okay. And it does this in a coaching call. And then you start to flesh out that scene to say, what are we celebrating? What does it look like? You're sitting there, you're looking back on this time, and you're seeing how this is all impacting your world. So that's what we mean by future pacing, is you're creating a desired future reality. Okay. And now we can look at the one thing. Okay. Now, obviously, in your presentation, you're not going to call it the one thing, but you want to think about for your customer's journey, right? There's typically one core limiting belief that is stopping them from taking action. If you think about that desired future reality, there's like one core belief that is stopping them. Now, there's no in all of marketing, the most fundamental thing is understand who your customer is and understand their internal world. But if you understand the one thing, marketing to mind states, love this. It's like, what is the one thing that's holding them back? Okay. Now, it requires you to understand a little bit of your customer psychology, because it's not just about going, here's some cool value, but going, what is the limiting belief that is stopping them from getting them where they want to go? And the rest of the content is around transforming those beliefs and releasing those beliefs so that that desired reality becomes more real. Okay, and that you start to feel the sense of, that we're moving towards it. Right. So when Russell Brunson does this, his kind of one core belief is all about funnels. Right. So if you believe that funnels are the way forward, then ClickFunnels is a natural extension. Right. So for me, I've been toying with that kind of the one thing. The people that I want to help all have a message. They have a message, and they want to get communicated it to the world. They love doing what they do. They help people. They want to do webinars, but the thing that holds them back is the admin. The technical complexity of putting all of the stuff together. Marketing feels like a bag of coat hangers, right? And and it's like you move from one thing to the other, and you go, I must do SEO, and it's like like a bag full of coat hangers. You have all those coat hangers, and you pull one coat hanger out, and a bunch of other coat hangers want to come with it, like especially wire coat hangers, right? So for a lot of one-person businesses, marketing tends to feel like that, or expert businesses, where you're all marketing by crisis. SEO, and you got to go and do SEO, And then, you know, you're pulling a thing and you're pulling on the SEO coat hanger and a bunch of other things want to come with it. And then you go, oh, we've got to do email follow-ups, and you've got to pull that with it. Right. Oh, you got to do Facebook ads. Oh, you got to do TikTok ads. You got to be on YouTube. You got to, you know, it's like, so I think if I had to give, like, you know, I've been toying with the one thing, but I think if I had to give you an experiment with the one thing, is that you should do less marketing, not more. Right. And that it's about choosing one channel to start off with, that you don't need more marketing. It's just about getting one of each. There's 4 key things. It's like a bridge, because a funnel is like a big complicated thing. I want you to think that maybe your marketing is just a bridge. And if you think about a bridge to get from people from one side to the other, let's imagine it has 4 slats. You only need 4 slats to get them over across. But 3 looks like it's not working because people were falling in the river. All right. Okay. Right. So, and the 4 slats are awareness, consideration, decision, and delivery. So it's 4, just 4. You need 1 awareness piece, 1 consideration piece, 1 delivery piece, and 1 sorry. Awareness, consideration, decision, and delivery. And I'll show you, I've got a cool graphic for that. I said, if you stay to the end, I'll show you how to do it. But those are some of the examples of the one core belief. So you feel that a little bit. I was saying, like when I was saying, marketing feels like a bag of coat hangers, like a lot of guys going like this. It's like, okay. So that's an example of like the one thing to say, okay, cool. If, you know, I'm going to do very much I'll do another session on built-in funnels, but this is the webinar part of that funnel. So we're starting to transform those beliefs. Okay. So then within that, you're going to tell a story, 3 stories essentially, which start to rebuild that belief. Okay. So the first story we could talk about, for example, if I was going to undo that complexity thing, one of the stories I could tell is about, you know, when lockdown happened and I needed to rebuild the thing. And I have literally, you know, I consider myself a professional marketer. Right? I have done many, many marketing things. I've built many, many marketing systems. But when I had to do it for myself, I did not do more marketings. I did this one thing. So that's an example of a story. So that's kind of the first secret number 1 is less is more. Okay. Secret number 2, again, I'm rebuilding that belief about you don't have to do lots of different things. It's about doing one thing. So the second story I could potentially tell is about how, you know, a common limiting belief is that maybe there's people that don't want to buy stuff. You know, it's like, who am I to sell my thing? Right? Who am I? What do I have to offer? Because if I have these, you know, amazing, you know, I've got this great thing I can do, but what about all this other stuff that I can't do? Okay. That could be an example of a limiting belief. And again, I'm just reading into your target market, but it's about understanding what those limiting beliefs are. So, you know, so for example, around the you know, I don't have all of my stuff together. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, so if I go into presentation mode, I'll be like, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had all of this amazing success. I've helped more than 450 businesses. I have a, you know, like CEO coach client in Silicon Valley. Right. But in the back of my mind, there's these other voices that go, oh yeah, but what about that time 5 years ago when you messed up that client? Or, you know, what about that you got, you know, your parents divorced when you were 3 years old and you're still carrying this guilt around that? Or what about the time you got busted for smoking weed? Right. And there's all the stories in the back of my mind. And I used to think, here's the crazy thing. I used to think that you have to hide all that stuff away. Okay. I used to think that in order for me to be successful, I had to pretend that all that bad stuff hadn't happened. And I had to fight and push through. Right. Until I started sharing some of those stories, and I started sharing some of those beliefs and just those experiences. And it turns out that early childhood trauma and entrepreneurism are highly correlated. Okay. All right. just about every single entrepreneur you can point at all had crazy childhoods. They all had rebellious stuff. Most of them have been arrested more than once. Most of them have had some kind of psychological trauma and issues and things like that, because that's what gives you the resilience to become an entrepreneur. Okay. Because, I mean, being an entrepreneur is not for sissies, right? It is hard. It is lonely. All right. And you have to have a crazy fanatical belief that you're going to do this. You have to walk through walls in order to get it done. And that kind of faith and that resilience you don't earn that stuff from a cushy life. You have to have walked through the darkness a little bit, got some scars and got some resilience and gone, you know what, that didn't kill me. What else can I do? Okay. All right. So, I'm a little bit kind of addicted to that high of like going, okay, well, what is the next, if most of those limitations were perceived, were learned limitations, what else am I holding myself back from? So I get totally juiced about this stuff now, about going, okay, cool. How do we, what's the next version of me? But more than that, I get really juiced about unlocking that in other people and saying, what happens if we could unleash all that entrepreneurial energy? What happens if we could empower the misfits and the change makers and the troublemakers, right? And build the systems so that, all of them, simplify the journey for those people to be able to, make money doing this crazy thing that they want to do. And, what would that look like? And that's a world that I want to live in. That's a journey I want to go on. And I know it's going to be interesting. I know it's going to be challenging, but you know what? The stuff I have been through already hasn't broken me. So why not? Like, let's dream big and dare boldly, and invite you to come along on the journey. So that's an example. I mean, I could carry on this all day of telling these stories about these transformations. So Russell Brunson calls it an epiphany. It's an epiphany where, going, hey, I've been through there too, and here's a cool story, and we're taking you on the journey. So this is where I used to do, share a lot of webinars where I would give complex explanatory diagrams and try and give the value, try and, solve the problem on the webinar, right? Where a lot of the problems that, solve it, not gonna, like, people don't need more information. You probably have information, the information you really need. It's about knowing, what do we delete? How do we focus on, what are the core things to focus on so that we can move forward? You guys have heard of the law of attraction? Like so I'm going to have you consider that in the world that we live in, things become real so fast that it's not so much about having to focus on what you want, because if you had to look inside my mind, it's flitting between this, that, and the next thing like 100 times a minute. Like if the universe is trying to figure out what I want, it's like, I want a Lamborghini, and I also want a car, and I also want to go on holiday, and I also want a computer, and I also want this, and I want, oh, what's that shiny thing on Instagram? Oh, look, I've got a notification. Where we're at now, it's not about it's more about, what are you letting go of? Like, what can you just stop paying attention to? Stop trying to do 500 things. Just do one thing, because we've got so many tools and so many opportunities right now to be able to get where we want to go. That, you don't need to, we don't need more stuff. We've got enough stuff. What you need is less stuff. Like, focus on the stuff that you actually want, and let's just go get it. So the stories themselves actually help rebuild these patterns. It's not about showing you information. It's about rebuilding the beliefs. Where do you want to go? What are the obstacles in the way? And then just tell stories about how you overcome those beliefs and how you were able to get to the next level. And then you'll get to the end of your presentation, and I'm actually bang on time. So I've got about 20 minutes because there was an intro, about 20 minutes of content. And now we can start to go towards the close. Now, these are a couple of strategies that you can use to start moving people towards a decision. Okay, so at the beginning, I said I was going to make you an offer, and we're going to say, I'm going to make you a bold promise and say, here's an opportunity to work with me, and you can have a funnel that you can have as many events as you want to do. You can run them on LinkedIn, which is the highest net worth social media platform, and you can have as many leads as you want, as many leads as you need, because most expert businesses, we don't need 10,000 leads. 4 or 5 conversations a week is enough. Because what we're often selling, is we're not, we don't have to sell 100,000 widgets. We're selling some kind of high value expert service. So 4 or 5 good conversations is plenty. And that's all you need. You don't need a complicated system to do that. Most marketing systems that I've seen completely over-engineered, right? Because you're optimizing for some weird thing. Like, what do you need? 4 or 5 good conversations a week. That's it. So that's the opportunity. Webinar is obviously a big part of that. So that was my close. So I'm going to give you a couple of example closes that we can now start to say, because people at this point in your presentation will be as motivated as they're going to be, right? They've seen the value of the promised land. Some of that resistance has been released. They're starting to move forward a bit. So the first soft close I want to invite you to consider is that money is good. Right? So there's a couple of stories here. Money is good. Is that especially like a lot of us expert businesses, we want to do good and we want to make money. But sometimes those two things sort of are counterintuitive. It's like, how do we make money? I want to be a good person, but aren't the rich people evil? Like, aren't they bad people? Aren't like, So I'm going to give you just a frame here to say that, that if what you're doing is worth more than you're selling it for, it's your duty to make lots of money. Because what you're doing is you're helping people get from where they are to where they want to go. And if you can help people get from where they are to where they want to go, those people are going to be able to help other people get from where they are to where they want to go. Right? And money is just how we keep score. Because the thing is, you can't take the money with you. It's just about how we move it around while we're here. And it's my vision to help the money go to the people that are able to move human consciousness forward while I'm alive. Okay, that is literally my purpose on this earth, to weaponize the light bringers, to find people that are on this game of helping other people's lives get better, and like, let's do that with loads of money. Okay, so that's the mission. Money is good. I did for a while try and make money by helping people that didn't have any, and I invite you to consider that is an ineffective strategy. Help people that have money, because people that have money want time. People that have money want to get rid of the money, that want time. So you help people that have money get where they want to go faster, and then you can spend time doing, other things that make you feel good. I'm working with a guy who's a gratitude consultant. Like, all he does is literally spreads gratitude. Lovely, lovely guy. But he's never going to be a millionaire, right? But I'm able to help him spread his message because I'm able to make money from tech startups and other expert businesses and things like that, right? So make money doing good stuff for people that have money, so that you can do whatever else you want in your spare time. Okay, so money is good. Money is just a tool that we can do stuff with. So there's an example of like a reframe of money is good, make lots of money. Information alone is another one. So information alone is not enough. If information was all you needed, you would be successful already. Okay. And I've given you some information today, and I'll probably give you some more information, but I'm going to have you consider that what you need is accountability. And there's one of the things, if you take action today, I'm going to help you actually get this done. Sound good? Cool. So that's the information alone clause. This is so meta, where I'm using it and then kind of anyway, I'm having fun. Are you guys having fun? Cool. Amazing. Us versus them is a clause that you can use to say, you're positioning like people like us versus people like them. Russell Brunson talks about entrepreneurs that want to grow without taking on investment capital, and those are his people. So the people that like if I had to do an us versus them, the people I want to do is people that are looking to make, I call them light bringers, right? That understand at some point in the game, you realize that we're going to die. And then you stop worrying about what we're going to do, the physical elements of life. You start to realize at some point that there's light is trying to get in. Like it's trying to get in, and often it's like we kind of block it. But once you start to realize that the whole game is access more light, spread it around, and then help other people do the same, and then you can bring in more light. Like the bigger games, people call it spirituality or consciousness or whatever. But people that are on this path that just go like, okay, there's a bigger game here, and let's have fun with it. Let's let's expand. Let's be more. Those are my people, and I want to help those people. If people want to live in scarcity, people want to talk about war and stuff, that's fine. They can do their own thing. People, everyone is right from their perspective, but the people I want to help is people that are on this journey, people that want to access the light and accelerate that process. So if you're like me, then let's go on a journey together. So that's an example of an us and them, where people like us do things like this. There's a few more. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of these things. I'm just conscious of time. I mean, like, money replenishes. It's a great thing. So we'll talk about, if you wanting to ask for money on a webinar, it's good to start talking about these things. Like, just say like, we're having a financial conversation. But here's the thing: is money replenishes. If you think about how much money did you spend this month on stuff, right? But how much did you spend on that the previous month, right? Every month you spend money on stuff, right? And every month you get more money to spend on stuff. So whatever amount of money or investment that we talk about today, whether or not you spend it, the money is going to replenish, right? So it's not really about the money that you're going to spend today, because honestly, even if we leave here without spending any money, you're going to spend money anyway. So it's just a question about which outcome you want to start moving towards. Okay, so that's the money replenishes close. Cool. So I can give you a couple. I mean, a bunch more of these. We'll do one more, which is that if you think about like this, the suite of services that you offer. Okay, so I mean, if this was like a webinar, what I was talking about, I was selling a whole service, I would have spoken a lot more about the different components. Okay, but in summary, the webinar system that I've created, you can there's 3 key engines of growth: LinkedIn organic content, LinkedIn outreach, connections, and then that's all accelerated by use of webinars. Right. With that, you also get all the software to keep track of all your emails. You keep track of your contact details. It replaces about £500 a month of software. Okay. So if all you got, if we work together and you invested in my program, and all you got was the ability to reach out and have more conversations on LinkedIn, right? And you got two extra warm conversations, 2 extra warm leads a month. Would that be worth doing? Okay. So I have this whole complex. So that's what I did. So that's the if you only got close, where you're saying, here's my whole thing. Let's zoom it right down to some small usable part. And if all you got was the use of this thing, would it be worth it? Okay, so that's the if you only got close. Okay, so there's a bunch of these. I'm just looking. I mean, having loads of fun here. So then you can go. So that's basically the framing the soft close. We haven't notice we haven't spoken about actual money yet, or what the actual program is, or what the actual offer is, but you're starting to frame this in terms of that a decision's coming, right? I haven't even told you what I'm selling yet. I haven't even told you what the offer is, but you've started to pre-frame those things, and you're primed now to make a decision, right? And then the last thing is the offer, where you actually put an offer in front of somebody and to say, cool. Now, I've seen what some people do is say, listen, for those of you who have only come for the value and the information, this is the end. I'm now going to talk. If you want to work with me, here's the opportunity. I'm going to tell you about the offer. And you can ask people like, who wants to say for the offer? Right. And if people raise their hands, you know, great, you've pre-qualified. And you might have noticed throughout the presentation, what I've been doing is asking questions that end with yes. Does that sound good? Does that make sense? Good idea. Are we having fun? All right. So those are micro commitments. So you're going yes, 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 and you're building that momentum of yes. So you get to the do you want to hear the offer? Then it's like there's a natural yes. It's curious. There's some pique. There's some rapport that's been built to the point now we're going to hear the offer. And so that's where we get to that. So when you get to the offer, you're now then able to say, okay, if you're just here for the value, now's the time to go, but here's the offer. Now the offer is something I've become quite obsessed about recently. There's a fantastic book by a guy called Alex Hormozi called $100 Million Offers, which is the absolute textbook for how to structure an offer. And I'll very likely do some sessions around that because it really is just such a brilliant resource. But essentially what you're doing is going for your target client, their desired outcome, what are all the intermediate steps that they will need to take in order to get to where they want to go. Then you look at all the different roadblocks on that, and then firstly create a solution that helps them solve that. You name the problems, you solve the problems, then you give the solutions fancy names. And then any additional obstacles that they might still be left, you then frame as bonuses. Okay. So I'll see, I don't know how good this, oh, right, yeah. Okay, so here's an example of an offer slide. So the LinkedIn, webinar system, it's called the LinkedIn event sales system, right? So less marketing, cool, eh? The less marketing system in a box. So if you're going to go and work with me to build this system out, okay, what you'd get is weekly mastermind to connect to your purpose and do this with other human beings, because I'm all about the purpose and about doing this together. You'd get the software bundle to grow your business. It replaces about £500 a month of stuff, because if you think about the website, your email marketing system, your calendar, your course creation system, your all of those different bits and pieces of things, it's about £500 a month of stuff. If you need to have ClickFunnels and Kajabi and ActiveCampaign and Calendly and all of those things, it's all included. More than that, you get a weekly support call in a group, and you also get all of these things I've been alluding to, the webinar training, the offer training, all of that stuff is in the bundle, and you can do this together. So this is something I'm experimenting with. And the experiment so far is a wild success, and I'm delighted about it. There's 3 people in the program already. 2 of them have already got their first deals from their webinars already. It took me 7 repetitions to close a deal from webinars. They've done it in 3. So I'm delighted. I'm like, yes. The one does builds survey funnels for wellness professionals, and the other one does health and wellness assessment. She's a functional nutritionist. So those are the 2 people in the system already. That's the group coaching program. These are not even my one-to-one clients. Right? This is the group coaching program just to help people go faster. Okay. So now you can go into thing. Now, if I wanted to add additional bonuses on here, I haven't made a massively thing about the offer slide because I wanted to just deliver some value here, but this is an example of a slide. This is a real live offer, by the way. And this is $1,000. I'll build this whole thing for you. It's a one-time offer. You can only get it here. I'll actually go and build the system for you if you want, if you want to do this. But if you wanted to, you could go and add additional bonuses on here to say, what are the different things that people think like, oh, I don't, if I'm going to talk to people on LinkedIn, I don't know how to do that. No problem. Bonus number 1, you're going to get all my swipe files, all the proven outreach messages and conversation starters that I've already used. You're going to get a content diary from my content plan that I've already created. You're going to get a personalized project plan that's going to help you map your whole funnel out. So those are things that you can then add in as bonuses. So I'm going to stop there for the moment and say, cool, this is an example of an offer. And absolutely, if you do want to work with me, I would 100% want to work with you and help you build this LinkedIn funnel so that you can go and get to that happy place in the next 12 months. Right now, people are paying me, my one-to-one clients that I'm working with, upwards of $3,000 a month to build this done for you process. But because you're here today, I can build this first version of you for you for £1,100. Boom. But that's an example of offer. I'm going to do a completely separate session on building the offer, but I wanted to just leave that there and stop and say, are there any questions in the next 5 minutes? Because I do have another call starting in 5 minutes. Cool. How was that for you guys?
I enjoyed it very much. I'm just going to speak. It's easier.
Cool. Amazing. Yeah, please do. I would prefer it.
Yes. I mean, I think sometimes we get bogged down in all the possibilities, and just having some opportunities to streamline and view them from another point is wonderful. Thank you.
Fantastic. Amazing. Good stuff. Graham, how's that for you?
Yeah, it's whetted my appetite, John. Obviously, I'm not saying that it would take me to call 7 or that, but this is the first time I've heard you. As I say, it has interested me. I have worked partly with Tilly Davis on LinkedIn, and I haven't even changed my LinkedIn profile yet. So that shows you how slow I am to start. I'm building a website at the moment. I've got so many other things going on. I mean, you come across, to be fair, John, as a very genuine, I like your way that you come across. The only thing is, I suppose, after the second page of closes, I was going with you straight away, but then suddenly it took a massive wow. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready for the next stage. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm quite slow in certain things. So I maybe needed to really understand what was the genuine offer, what was the offer for the example in this webinar. I kind of got them confused,
Yeah. So what I will say is, and that's great feedback, because I think, I was quite ambitious to do like a webinar, how to do a webinar. But honestly, I mean, just to clear that up, if you guys do want to work with me, there's only one thing. The next step is just a strategy call. Is for us to sit down and talk about your, so there's a thing. Can you guys still see my screen okay? Am I still sharing? Yeah. So the next thing to do, which is incidentally doesn't cost any money, is to do a strategy, basically just a one-to-one strategy for you, because then I'll understand where you are in the process and see how much of all of the stuff that you need. So I mentioned that, you're building a bridge for your customers from where they are over there, from awareness to consideration to decision to delivery. And then all of the different things that you can do, for example, LinkedIn Organic, LinkedIn Outreach, event invites, podcasts, ads. I don't know what else people are doing. But I'll kind of just map out what's going on for you at the moment and give you a strategy about, here's the system I think you should be using. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I'll be able to say, what are the different things that you actually need? And from there, be able to put make specific recommendations about how to work with you. So that would be the actual offer in this webinar is really just, if you're interested in what I've had to say, and you're interested in taking the next step would be a strategy call where understand a little bit more about where you are specifically, and then build out a diagram like this for your specific business. And with that, I'll be able to say, here's the next steps. And if you did want to work with me, this is what that would look like.
So just to clarify there, John, so today's offer was a one-off £1,000 fee, and then £335 per month going forward. Is that what today's offer was? Because I'm still not clear on what it was you were promoting as for staying to.
Yeah, so this system, so the webinar system that I was talking about, I mean, normally I would do quite a custom process, but the LinkedIn event, you know, basically the system that got you here. Everything from where you saw the event invitation to RSVPing to going through the process, you would have got the follow-up emails, the confirmations, all of that stuff is a closed system.
Right.
And you know, that's the system that we've sophisticated it quite well since we started. But that's the offer is to build a LinkedIn webinar funnel for you, including the LinkedIn account setup, the setup of your email system, the integration into Zoom, all the reminder emails, all of those things set up, but set up in such a way that you be able to do it going forward. So it's a one-off setup. And then on an ongoing basis, you'd be able to have as many events as you want. And we have our support to be able to keep on, facilitating those invitations and follow-ups and, managing all the tech stuff for you so that you can get all of that stuff done.
And if LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn recently in the last 3 months has undergone a bit of a transformation. If LinkedIn changes, your system, your format takes account of all of that, does it?
I would say that we're changing in the same direction as LinkedIn is changing in.
Right.
Since Microsoft bought LinkedIn, they're essentially, they're moving towards being a place for creators, where it used to be a place that you could store your CV. Whereas now they're really trying to attract creators and events. So yeah, I would say 100%.
I just hear so many people say, whatever you do, get email addresses, don't rely on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever.
Yeah.
Suddenly, if that all goes down, or if you get banned for it, you get cancelled, you're stuffed. Your business disappears overnight. And the same thing's happened probably on Instagram and stuff for some people. Yeah,
I mean, there's and I have to jump off in a minute, but I will answer that question. I'll say, Graham, happy to take this offline and let's continue the conversation. But the reason I like this bridge analogy, I mean, in systems design, it's called irreducible complexity, right? Where a working business there's a certain number of component systems that you need, and if any one of them doesn't work, it looks like the whole thing is not working. So in a mature business, what you want is multiple streams of awareness, multiple streams of traffic coming at you, so that you're not reliant on any one of them. But when you're starting out, it's completely inefficient to try and build 20 different traffic engines at the same time.
Okay, I mean, I get that. So it's like the 4 conversations a week, this would contribute to that. It would at least get you started, Okay, yeah.
Exactly. So it's the minimum viable bridge or minimum viable funnel, where you're basically taking LinkedIn outreach into events, into a webinar process like that.
Yeah.
It's your event invites.
Yeah.
Into your masterclass, and from your masterclass into a strategy call. And then, so that's the simplest version of that.
Yeah.
LinkedIn Organic, you get rid of all of this. You've got the simplest version of that, but you've got one way of getting awareness, so you're inside the consideration process at the moment right now. If you book a strategy call, you'll be in the decision process, and if you say press go, you'll be in the delivery process.
Okay.
So
helps. Yeah.
So the first version of that is to just build, something really, really simple, which is, something like that, which is events into, so connections into events into decision strategy call, and then to one-to-one. Now you've got a minimum viable business. But from there, I've built it in such a way that you've got reusable infrastructure that will take you to, that you can plug additional systems in to make it more resilient as you go.
Yeah.
Graham,
Okay.
if you do want to, I'll follow up with you. Let's have a more detailed chat.
Please follow up with me. Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to have continue the conversation. I do these about once a week at the moment, as we're accelerating the rollout of the system. So, you know, as I'm wanting to do more of these, I I would say eat my own dog food, but I drink my own champagne. I mean, if I tell people that they should sell stuff via webinars, this is exactly what I tell people to do. So I'm doing exactly what I tell people to do. But happy to share kind of the rest of the model with you. But today, I really wanted to just show.
Yeah, just understand it. Okay.
Fantastic.
I'll let you get that call.
All right, amazing. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.